everybody. Hello again and welcome back to another episode of the Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch, and we done crossed over into a new year. Get excited, make some noise, clap it up wherever you are. We are back with a new episode at the start of the new year. 2024 is finally here. Oh, can't you just feel all the energy, all the fire, all the fervor that's coming your way and that will come your way for the rest of the year on this very show. That is right. Oh, I'm so excited. I feel fresh. I feel rejuvenated. I feel renewed. I'm ready to get the ground running. Hopefully you get your New Year's resolutions out the way. Forget resolutions. Make it your lifestyle. That's right. Change for the better. I know that's what I'm trying to do. To the best of my ability. we ain't gonna hit them all the time. We're gonna hit at least something this year. You better believe that. And I'm willing and able, pushing to give you the best content in all of the sports media landscape right here on the Welch Report. Hopefully you've had a phenomenal New Year's Day, a phenomenal start to your New Year's year in the first year of the week. Everybody, hopefully you're safe, hopefully you're happy, hopefully you're healthy, and hopefully you're tuning into this show as we got a bunch of stuff to cover in this episode, the first of the year, talking about both boxing and the NBA and the NFL. We're covering everything on this show, this inaugural, I guess, not seasonal, we don't do seasons, we just flow. But on this inaugural first show of the year, we got a bunch to cover. So, before we start, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Please leave a like on the video. Comment your thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to the channel and share the show with everybody that you know so we can build up this empire of a channel together and make this community bigger and better and bolder. And like I've been saying from the first episode, so we can get some moolah for you lot and invest back into the show and put some money in my pocket as well. Oh, you better believe it. Oh, I love doing this, but I'm also trying to make some revenue, don't you? I gotta do what I gotta do. I'm just saying. But all that out the way, all the self-promotion out the way, you came here to talk about sports. First thing we're gonna talk about is boxing, and because of that, it is time to step into the ring. That is right. Ring the bell. Let's get it started. Round one of this show underway for boxing, talking about, well, to start the fire off, Floyd Mayweather. Specifically, who he named as his faces of the sport. Who are his faces of boxing going into 2024, going into this new year? And of course, we've seen him working with and talking with Ryan Garcia. I believe there was a video of them running together all weekend, and we're going to talk about that. Absolutely. If not on this episode, next episode. But trust and believe, we're going to talk about Ryan Garcia hanging out with Floyd Mayweather more and more and more. What could that entail? But specifically, talking about Floyd and who he named as his top three faces of the sport. When asked who was the face of the sport, he said Canelo Alvarez, Gervonta Tank Davis, and Ryan Garcia. Now, again, why will we talk about this? We on this channel normally deal with solely talking about the production in the ring. We get the outside outside ring, not gonna call them shenanigans, but the outside happenings that don't happen inside the ring beyond just in-ring production. We get all that has its place, absolutely, but we normally stick to the in-ring product. Understandable, that's what we do on this channel. But going beyond that, with this, it's important to talk about this because it needs to set a precedent as to give a standard for everybody else going into the new year. For everybody going into the new year, we need to talk about who indeed is the face of this sport and who are the faces, maybe not the face, but who are the faces of this sport in order to give a standard and a gauge to help grade everybody else for anybody trying to or looking to attain that very dimension of being in that same category, talked about in that same facet, and or to take that facet of being the face outright. We got to talk about it. So who are these three faces of the sport valid from Floyd Mayweather's eyes? No. Well, two of the three are. One of them ain't. One of these things is not like the other. Definitely one of these things don't belong, and that's Ryan Garcia, if we're being completely honest. Again, I don't care that Floyd's one of the greatest of all time. I don't care that he's, again, 50-0, undefeated, beat 20-something champions in his reign. We get what he is, one of the greatest defensive fighters in history, arguably the greatest defensive fighter in history, as well as just one of the greatest boxers outright. I don't care what your resume is, though. Because what you say is wrong, and in this case, it's wrong. Ryan Garcia is a bright star, a shining star, somebody who is making his way in the sport, has the name, absolutely. I love it, respect it, want to see him improve. We get the popularity, understandable. But here, or rather how I gauge it, when it comes to being the face of the sport, it can't just be only about numbers. Yes, we've heard it all before. Oh, people sell. Stuff sells. Oh, Tank sells so many things. Look at what Canelo did when he sold out XYZ. Whatever the case would be. Look at what Ryan Garcia did when he faced off with Tank. Boom. Made millions. One of the highest rated, one of the highest bought pay-per-view fights in history. Yeah. We get it. But when it comes to being the face of the sport, it can't just be about the numbers that somebody brings to the table. Oh, they put butts in seats. Yes, they do. Understand it. But let's look at this from the perspective of the NBA. Yes, the sports are different, but there is some crossover value that can be looked at between the two. LeBron James right now, while seen as arguably the greatest player to ever play this game, he is not currently right now the best player in the world. He's just not. Currently, he is not the best player in the world. You can argue, it's irrefutable that he's top 10. Absolutely. It's understandable that you can argue that he is in top 5 at his best, though he played abysmal against the Heat last night. We're going to get into that as well. But with him right now, there are at minimum 4 to 8 players that we can argue are better than him. We really can. If not 10, you can make an argument for him. You don't got to agree or disagree, but you can. But he is not near the 1 or 2 spot. That's just the truth. Giannis, absolutely. Joel Embiid, absolutely. Nikola Jokic, absolutely. You can put him in that conversation. Even Kevin Durant, with the way he's been playing right now this season, has a better argument for being in the best in the world conversation than LeBron at this point in time. Though we know what LeBron is. Again, will that slump stay? Who knows? We'll have to see later on in the season. But in terms of where LeBron is right now, he is not the best in the world. But he is still the face of the sport. Ja Morant is one of the most exciting players in the world. Anthony Edwards is one of the most exciting players in the world. Jason Tatum has been playing phenomenal and is on one of the best teams in the Boston Celtics. Is a leader of that squad and still is evolving as a player. Luka Doncic is playing absolutely phenomenal. Some of the best offensive ball we've ever seen him play. All these players are doing their thing and hitting their stride. No doubt about it. Yet they are not the face of the sport. Though they put butts in seats. Though all of them are producing. It is because LeBron is more than just putting butts in seats. It is the ability to carry the legacy of the sport on your shoulders. Who do they think of when they first think of basketball? In this modern day and age, it is LeBron. It's just the truth. He is the poster child for what that sport is in boxing, or in basketball, excuse me. And in boxing, who do you think of when you first think of boxing? Right now, it's Canelo. Absolutely. Tank, you can put him as one of the face. Canelo is the face. Let's get that straight right now. Canelo is the number one face in the sport right now. He is the face of boxing. At the top of the top. That is, for me, maybe not for you, but for me, irrefutable. Production and popularity, coupled with accolades, is what makes him that. And that's what drives who should be in that conversation. Not just the money that you bring in from your popularity, but also your production in the ring and your skills and talent and your active accolades that you achieve. Bolstering that talent, which bolsters your popularity. Because now your legacy is something that people can latch onto. Hence with LeBron. People can latch onto LeBron because his legacy is so long and great that it is something that everybody can see. Oh man, oh yeah, okay. He's still doing that. He did all that and still producing like this. There's very few, if any, that are like this man. It's something to behold, a cornerstone. That is what LeBron is in basketball, and that is what Canelo is in boxing right now. Tank, while he doesn't have the accolades, his talent in the ring has been phenomenal. And his popularity has been incredible. So, fine. Still need him to do more. Still need him to absolutely get more to his arsenal in terms of accolades and accomplishments, 135 is wide open for you to become undisputed if you so chose, at least to fight Shakur and to fight Loma. You've already said you put them on your list in interviews before. You now got elevated to the main and sole WBA title holder. So everybody's got to run through you. So now you can call shots definitively, arguably even more bigger than you could before. Now that you run a portion of the division, we can have arguments of whether or not he is the best at 135 pounds or not. You can argue that to Kingdom Come. I think he is, but that's neither here nor there. That's not what we're talking about. At 135 pounds, I don't care if he is the best or not. Point being, he's got to show it in the ring against the elite of the elite. Not fighting, and I've said this before, not fighting fighters on the caliber of Ryan Garcia anymore. It's got to be elite of the elite. The best of the best that division has to offer, i.e. Shakur Stevenson, who is a champion, and Vasily Lomachenko, who many feel was robbed of that fight. In terms of, well, not robbed, but should have won a very close decision. Robbed is the wrong word. I apologize. Lomachenko wasn't robbed, but it was a very close decision that I feel he should have gotten, because I feel that he did enough. But the fight was so close that even though Devin Haney won it, hey, it is what it is. I still think that he should have won. I've said this before. You can go back and watch on this channel how I covered that fight. But still, even with that, and since you say you are not afraid to fight Devin Haney, the best case scenario, you beat Loma outright, more convincingly than what Devin Haney did in this close affair. Boom, set up a fight at 140. Phenomenal. I beat who you thought was, who was your hardest competition in an easier time. Couple that with the fact that he said that he wants to fight Devin Haney and is willing to fight Devin Haney at 140 with no rehydration clause. He said it in there. I believe you can look it up on YouTube. Didn't happen not near 7 days ago. Excuse me. Terrible grammar. It did not happen 7 days ago, I believe, that he said that. So since that's the case, hey, it's wide open for you to make that mega fight even bigger by taking on the people that Devin Haney didn't fight, albeit because they either weren't in the weight class, or if he did fight him, like in Loma, you make an easier time of him. Go through and beat Shakur if you can. Go through and beat Loma if you can. Boom. Everything problem solved. Now we ain't got nothing to say, but we got to hold him to that fire. But that's another conversation. Point being, he's got more to do. Going back to why Tank should be considered a face. He is talented, world-renowned talented. Exciting as all get out. Popular as all get out. Accomplishments aren't there, at least to the point that I would like it to be. But it's enough to be able to say, okay, yeah, we recognize he's legitimate. We recognize how special he really is. It's the reason why people put him in the pound for pound right now. Though his accomplishments maybe shouldn't put him there up until this point. Up until this point in his career. But his talent is irrefutable. Ryan Garcia, however, doesn't have that same argument. And the fact that he's in this conversation shouldn't be at all. Ryan Garcia is somebody who, again, is a blossoming star in the sport. Though he lost to Tank Davis, we still want to see him fight. He is still widely popular amongst all facets of fans. Men, women, black, white. People want to see him fight, plain and simple. We want to see him fight. He's a popular character, yes. But he hasn't accomplished nothing. And his talent isn't nowhere where it needs to be. It's just not. He should not be in this conversation of being one of the major faces of this sport. If you want to talk about a top three, going off of what Floyd said, it's wrong. Maybe it's because of that budding relationship that's starting to show publicly. in terms of working relationship and how they're seemingly training together. Ryan Garcia may be going under Floyd's wing. Who knows? But what we do know is that Floyd's list is wrong, objectively. Anthony Joshua has a better claim to being one of the major faces of this sport in that top 3 caliber because of his past accolades and because of how big he is across the world, not just in here, but especially over in Europe and in London. And after this renaissance of a win, looking to get back into the title contending picture after beating and TKOing Otto Wallin, hey, yeah, this is phenomenal. The brother should be seen as not only a real threat, but going back to prime form, as I've talked about in the past. He's got a better shot at being one of the faces of the sport. Tyson Fury, though he lost, in my opinion, should have lost to Francis Ngannou. You can argue he's got a better shot at being in that face of the sport. And of all the names, Terrence Crawford should be irrefutably one of the biggest names in the sport, especially after what he did to Errol Spence Jr., especially after being, at one point in time, the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. Again, I got Naoya Inoue at 1. Other people have Crawford at 1. Even now, he's contended as the best fighter in the world and has a valid claim to it. However you feel, whether it's Naoya or Crawford, however you feel about either of them, he's got a valid claim, whether you want to agree with it or not. Crawford definitely has a valid claim. I had him at 1. That's the thing. Before Inoue did the accomplishment of being 2-time undisputed in less than a year. But I had Terrence Crawford at 1. I believe right after that fight. Up until Naoya did what Naoya did. This ain't no bias. The brother's got a legitimate argument to be in that caliber. And he's bringing in money. And he just beat one of the biggest dogs everybody said was unbeatable. Or was the only man that could actually beat him. Easy. On top of beating him, mind you, in a fashion that was so dominant, it won't be remembered as just something of, a mega fight that just didn't live up to expectations. No, he lived up to expectations. It was exciting. It was impactful. It was bloody. It was relentless, just one-sided. It won't be Hagler Hearns. It will be Foreman Frazier. That type of remembered performance, which is still incredible. Arguably just as incredible. Foreman Frazier, highly touted fight. Foreman has said in interviews he was afraid of Frazier. Legitimately. One of the scariest men he had ever seen. A man that would not quit. Looked death in the face and laughed. That's what Joe Frazier was at the height, especially after beating Ali and being the undisputed champion. Yeah, that brother was a menace. Even Foreman was afraid of Frazier. Foreman even said, I hope Joe Frazier didn't look down at him when he was staring him down because he would have seen his knees knocking. His words, not mine. That's what Foreman thought of Frazier. And Foreman bowled through him. Demolished him. We still talk about that performance today. That should have been a highly contested fight, but the styles and all that stuff just made it an ill-prepared matchup for Joe Frazier and for George Foreman. It was just a demolition job. One of the greatest that we had ever seen in the sport. One of the most destructive. That's what Crawford did to Spence. So his performance was incredible. His popularity rose through the roof. His accolades, being 2-time undisputed, only the second, at that point in time, second person to do it in the 4-belt era, as opposed to Crystal Shields. Made history. Climbed the top of the mountain. He should be, and is seen, in my opinion, as definitively one of the faces of the sport, one of the top 3. He should be in that conversation. And Ryan Garcia should not be in that conversation. He just shouldn't. Because it can't be just about your popularity. It's got to be a whole number of things that fall into that. At least that's how I gauge it when it comes to the face of the sport. If you're in this sport, we judge it, or I judge it differently. I can't say for you. I can only give you a different perspective on how to look at it. And how I look at it is in that facet. We see that Ryan Garcia is young, is hungry, and we see that he is popular, but his skill set, talent, and production are not where they need to be in order to be in this conversation. Canelo, number one, the face. Tank is a face, one of the biggest faces in the sport. Minimum here in America, arguably abroad as well, or undeniably abroad as well. And Crawford should be seen as one of the big faces in this sport, because his fights are incredible. He's a killer. He's a dog. His production is phenomenal. On top of, in the biggest limelight, he showed up and showed out better than we've ever seen him, with ease, and put on a display that put him on the mat securely if he wasn't there before. Got the respect that he deserved. Got the adulation that he deserved. Got all the requisite praise that should have been given to him a long time ago. Now, the popularity has caught up to the accolades, accomplishments, and skill set. He is one of the faces of the sport. Undeniable. It's not Devin Haney. It's not Teofimo Lopez. It is not Ryan Garcia. It is Terrence Crawford that should be in that list among the top three. If your list is bigger than that, or if your list is bigger, if you got different, hey, everybody's got their own opinions. But what's irrefutable is that one of the biggest things that should be seen as the face of the sport is your production, not just your popularity. Though popularity is, again, one of the biggest driving forces. But it's got to be, in my estimation, it's got to be more than that. It's got to be more than that. Because there's a bunch of popular fighters that are bums. Rolly Romero is popular. We know. We hate him. A lot of people hate him. Let me not say we. A lot of people hate him. But he's popular. Unequivocally. We know this. Tyson Fury, again, especially now, has garnered a lot of disdain from the public. Yet he is still one of the most popular. But seemingly his talent has degraded more and more and more. We've seen hype jobs, very, very popular, very, very quickly, fall by the wayside. This is not, can't be just, oh, he's so known. It's got to be more substance behind it that solidifies you in that position. Canelo's got it. Tank's got it, though he needs to prove more. Tank's got it. And Ryan Garcia doesn't. And Terrence Crawford should be in that conversation instead of Ryan Garcia for having it. And some people say, well, why'd you leave out Naoya anyway? How could you leave out Naoya anyway? Your pound for pound best fighter in the world today. Reason why I leave him out is because even though his talent is so far sublime, nigh perfection, and the accomplishments speak for themselves in a manner that I almost can't say for nearly every other boxer, there's still the popularity aspect of he's not as known as the others due to his weight class. He can get there. Don't get it twisted. He can get there. He hasn't done it yet. Because, I hate to say it, but because he's been fighting in Japan, and because he's been fighting over in that market, huge over there. And if you are deep in these sports, oh, you know about them. But the vast majority, though the talent and all that stuff is there, they haven't seen him yet. That's the thing. That's the thing. And again, oh, you're contradicting your point about popularity. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I said all three of those aspects delve into why you should be considered a face of the sport. Popularity, accomplishments, and skill set. You can have two and not have one. You can have a mix of them. And depending on how much or less that you have of those, And when you put them together, puts you in that qualification, or it doesn't. And for Noriega Inoue, sadly, at this point in time, it doesn't put him as one of the faces, though he is seen as pound for pound the best. But let him fight here in America one time. Oh, he's already fought before. Let him fight in a major popular fight. Let him get legitimate. Let them do the work to actively promote this brother like they do with the others, to get people to want to see this man fight. Because we know he's going to fight against game opponents. Let him fight over here, which he's done it before and he can do it again. Not a problem. But with the proper promotion by the promoters, who that's their job, get people to want to see these people fight. Let that happen one good time. It's over. Now he jumps the gun. Now I can put him confidently in that conversation. Right now I can only put him as the best boxer in the world, but I can't put him as a face yet. Because all the gem of who he is still there. He is still under the light. His light is dim. He's under a bush. It's covered up at this point in time. But once it gets fully exposed, specifically, it's going to take one major fight here in the States. Most likely. That's going to set, or, hey, Saudi Arabia, who knows? Without there throwing around money, it could happen there as well. One big major publicized fight with the proper promotion, like we've seen with Tank, like we've seen with Canelo, like we've seen with Ryan Garcia, like we've seen with others, like we saw in the build-up for Crawford versus Spence. You give him that type of promotional push, along with the talent that he's got and the requisite outright just destruction that he brings to the table, oh, he'll be a fan favorite in no time. He'll be on the popularity track. He'll be on the same track as Pacquiao. Not saying he'll reach that height, but I'm saying on the same track. Once people see him for fully, boom, set in stone. He just hasn't gotten that yet. And it ain't because he's afraid, it ain't because he's scared, it's because promoters haven't done their due diligence like they've done with others to make this man who's been running through and doing everything on his end to take on hard fights, challenging fights, and push them to happen and make them happen and perform every single time. It's a promoter's job to do the promoting. That's their job, and they haven't done it with him like they need to, like they've done with other champions and other stars in this sport. It's just the truth. Do you understand that just now in this last fight, we got to see a highly respected and highly intelligent analyst and former champion in Sean Porter? Watch him for the first time, though he's almost 31 in terms of Inoue. Became undisputed champion twice. And this is the first time that Sean Porter got to actually see him in the ring and wasn't even fully bought into how good he was because he had never seen him before. Next thing you know, he sees him. Oh, okay, yeah, this brother, I'll wake up to see him fight. Oh, this brother's legit. It just takes one time for promoters to do what they need to do properly and get the requisite eyes and do their job of getting people invested. Then it's all over. All these other stars have gotten it already at some point in time. Again, Crawford just got it. He didn't even get it when it was Sean Porter when he fought him and beat him. Though Sean Porter is a very great champion. Great former champion, phenomenal fighter outright. He's willing to fight anybody. Didn't even get the requisite promotional appeal when that fight was happening. It took until Spence and Crawford for him to finally get the wide array of eyes on the sport. For anyway, when it gets to that point, once he gets that big bang and promoters do what they're supposed to do and get people invested in them, now we ain't got a problem. Then he can be put in as one of the faces of the sport. Right now, he's a light under a bush. He's a light under a bush. But once that bush gets cut down to shine brighter than anybody, at least in my estimation. But until then, he can't be put in that conversation. Now delving into the world of the NBA. Or rather, yeah, I said that right, the world of the NBA. Talking about, firstly, the Los Angeles Lakers. And lo and behold.
Hey, look at this! We got some problems here! We got some problems here!
Great day in the morning. Why is it every time we talk about Los Angeles, it is consistently bad? Constantly. Every time we think there's an ebb and flow of them moving on an uptick, always they falter and fall back down. They just lost to the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler in an absolute debacle of a game. LeBron played terrible. AD put up great numbers, but the whole was just bad. Again, LeBron, this is one of the few bad games I've seen LeBron have in his, not just in his career, but in terms of this season. He's been great this whole year. This is an anomaly. But good gosh, if it didn't show how much of an impact that he has on this game. But it was terrible. He didn't even score 20. I don't think he made a three this whole game. He shot like 5 times. It was egregious on all fronts on his account. We understand that. But on the whole, everything just looks out of sorts and out of sync. This Lakers squad has lost 8 of their last 10 games after winning the in-season tournament, looking like they were clicking on all fronts. All of a sudden, they do a complete 180, and now they're absolutely terrible. They can't even play. They can't hoop. They don't know what the world. They look like an amateur team, getting beat left, right, and center, looking confused, looking cold. Cold on all fronts. Defensively unaware, offensively absolutely out of sorts. Why is this the case? And there's only one reason. There's one reason why. And it's their idiotic coach, Darvin Ham. Their ignorant coach, Darvin Ham. Yeah, I'm going there. That bum of a coach, Darvin Ham, has been making this Lakers squad, hindering them all year long. Mind you, this brother's been coaching for 2 years. Got the coaching gig last year. With all of the turmoil that they had, both pre and post Westbrook, they finally figured it out. They got to the Western Conference Finals when they had no business getting there. They got swept by the Nuggets, but they went further than any other team or anybody else thought they ever would. They shouldn't even have been a playing team, let alone a team that nearly gets to a series away from getting to a finals appearance. First one since 2020. This is to go from that to then coming into this season, looking shaky again, then finding your stride, winning the in-season tournament. Everything's looking on the up and up, and now you go into a rut of 2-10 or 2-8 in your last 10 games. One of the utterly offense, I've already said it. Offense looks terrible. Defense looks out of sync. Nobody looks comfortable. And it's all because of Darvin Ham and him consistently changing everything. This man has said we need consistency and won't be consistent at all. The man literally consistently changes his mind. That's the only consistent thing about him. How is it that we have seen this Lakers squad be in the conference finals with a lineup that works, and now with the exact same roster, only pieces added to it, none of the core pieces let go, kept Rui Hachimura, kept Austin Reeves, you got Jackson Hayes, you added Gabe Vincent, though he's injured, I believe he's coming back soon, but you kept relatively every single key piece on the roster, even you kept D'Lo. To some people's eyes, you shouldn't have, but maybe it turned out great. He's had some up and downs, but you know what? Okay, fine. The move is the move. You kept continuity on your roster and improved it by getting more bodies, more length, more height, seemingly more defensive ability and switchability. That's what you got in the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, you do. And you still put up these types of schemes. You don't have a set rotation yet, and it's January. You are still trying to find a working starting five. I have not seen the same starting five happen in the game for Darvin Ham this entire year. Some piece has gotten moved in and out, and he tries to use the excuse of, we've missing some core pieces. Rui Hachimura is out. The brother was in at the start of the year, or rather, I don't think he was in at the start of the year, but once he got healthy, he was in the rotation for a solid 10, 15 games, and still you're only playing him how many minutes? 15 to 25, though he's recovered from injury. He should be starting, if I'm being completely honest, if not coming off the bench, averaging 30 minutes minimum. Dorian Prince should be averaging 25, 20 minutes, not averaging 30, 36. You got big, but you're playing AD 40 minutes a game, knowing that he's injury prone. And again, credit to Anthony Davis. This man's been playing like an MVP. This man, Anthony Davis, has been putting up phenomenal defensive and offensive numbers, playing like a real MVP caliber talent that we have been saying he can be this whole time. No longer looking at him and being scared if he's going to get hurt. Every time he jumps, we're confident he's going to be okay. Dominating on the boards. Dominating on the low block. Making everything around him be grabbed, snatched. There's no room in the paint that you can score on him. And offensively, he's playing like a dominant big that we've been wanting him to. Playing like the five that we asked him to play like years ago. We love this Anthony Davis. But it shouldn't be what we're seeing from him now, averaging 40 minutes a game, because we still know the risk. It's ridiculous that this type of rotational mismanagement is consistently being let slid by the organization of the Lakers. It's idiotic. And his offensive scheme doesn't work. He looks like a man, and let's not forget, let's be completely honest. Reports are now coming out that though he has lost the locker room or is losing the locker room. No longer is he being seen in the good graces of the players. Players are starting to speak out. LeBron didn't even go into an interview to be asked about what the world went wrong. There is some real internal turmoil when it comes to Los Angeles Lakers, and it's all because of Darvin Ham. It's all because of that man. All because of an ignorant, mismanaging coach who can't see the light in front of him of what his roster is constructed of. Legitimate talent and length. Hence, if you want to play into that, make your starting five go tall. Plain and simple. Or do what worked last year. Either you can go D'Lo, Reeves, LeBron, Vanderbilt, AD. That's what got you to the conference finals. If you want to switch it up, D'Lo, Reeves, Hachimura, LeBron, AD. If you want to go big, LeBron, Hachimura, Vanderbilt, Christian Wood, Anthony Davis. Any of those rotations can be your starting five. Rotate it out with Jackson Hayes and Gabe Vincent and the other core pieces, and boom, you now have a set five and you can legitimately run 8 to 10 deep because you got Vanderbilt, Vando, Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent, and depending on if one of them starts or don't start, Reeves or D'Lo. So you have options. Or Max Christie, who has shown semblances of, okay, he can be a legitimate offensive threat. It ain't like you don't have the product. See, this isn't like last year when you just didn't have the pieces. This isn't like when we were saying the Lakers were old and they just can't compete because they don't have the youth to run like they need to. This isn't even like the year before when it's just a situation where, hey, maybe injuries are taking precedent. AD is getting hurt. LeBron isn't able to play like the full LeBron because he's still battling injury, even though he's playing through it. This isn't like that. This is a team that looks, when they are fully healthy, or rather, first off, their main stars are healthy. And then most of their other core pieces are youthful, can play offense, have size, can play defense, can get out on the break, can switch, and can score on their own. And yet, still, while you have the ability to match up against anybody, you have no continuity. People and players are confused at their role. Players don't know where they, that's one of the gripes that are being reported. Players don't know what their role is on this team because they don't have a role. Because there's no continuity or consistency in rotations to get a role in the first place. Am I a defender? Am I a driver? Am I a cutter? Am I supposed to sit in the corner? Am I supposed to be a person that curls around? Do I work in the pick and roll? Do I not work in the pick and roll at all? What am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to be? Where is my identity on this team? Nobody has any outside of LeBron and AD because they don't have the requisite rotation that signifies where you are and what you do. That's the problem. And that's what Darvin Ham seemingly does not understand. And it's stupid. I could forgive you for not having that type of insight when you were first getting this job, working through turmoil. I get it. I do. I really do. But now, there's no excuse. We were always saying you were a bad coach in the past, but we just said, many people were saying just give it time. Hopefully, prayerfully, we'll at least see some semblance of improvement. And now you went from, okay, there's some confidence to, brother, you bottomed out. If there was any time to switch a coach, it would be now. It would be now. I don't care if I ever see him in the coaching realm again, because he isn't a good coach. He's never been a good coach. Because now it is set up on a platter. You know how many people and coaches would love to have this position? LeBron and AD playing at their best currently right now. AD not being injured and having the youth and flexibility on that roster that you have right now. Locked up Reeves for I believe 3 or 4 years. Locked up Rui for 3 or 4 years. You got D'Lo still. You got Vanderbilt, who's a great defender. Phenomenal defender and hustle player. Jackson Hayes, who's a highlight reel waiting to happen when he does get on the floor, and is an athletic big man who can affect the game. You got the pieces that this should be. Christian Woods, somebody who's already had the reins of being the main guy, and when he gets minutes on this team, he does show signs of success. But then you muddy everything up by switching everything at a moment's notice. Playing stupid 3-guard lineups. Ignorantly taking out players when they're hot. Wanting to keep players fresh. Like Austin Reeves, though he plays great when he gets starting level minutes. Ignorant and stupid, that's what Darvin Ham is. And the fact that he just keeps on getting away with this perpetual ineptitude of outright mediocrity makes me sick. And should make you sick. Whether you're a fan of the Lakers or not, just watching this game, watching this whole team play all year long, it's a frustrating endeavor because they should be better than this. And it's not because they're not talented. It's because they don't have structure or foundational anything. Because Darvin Ham is messing everything up. And he coaches like a bum. Call it like it is. He's a bum of a coach. He is a bum of a coach. He is a bum of a leader. He is a bum of a rotational manager. All around, this brother is a bum when it comes to making what should be a gifted platter of a situation absolute trash. That's what Darvin Ham has done. And it's frustrating to no end. Ignorant, stupid, and coaching like a bum. Acting like a bum. Making dumb excuses like a bum. That's what you're doing. Like a bum. And act like, oh, it just takes time. No, you had time. You're missing pieces. No, you had the pieces. And this still was happening. Ain't no injuries messing up your rotation. You are messing up your rotation because you are a terrible coach. Needs to be said loud and clear. This bum of a coach is ruining what should be a real threat at a title in terms of the makeup of this team. You degraded you went from overachieving to underachieving in a season. How the world does that happen? Not because your star players or your main players aren't producing. No, you are actively taking them. It's rare that I've said this. You are actively taking them out of their ability to perform at their best. It's not their fault. It's yours. It's your fault. We can't blame Chris Dunn. We can't blame Russell Westbrook. There's none of that to say, okay, objectively, despite whatever the situation is, you were playing absolutely abysmal in terms of Westbrook when he was on the Lakers. It's the truth. I don't care if you like him or not. I love Westbrook. It's still the truth. The brother played like an absolute bum and was sporadically just irreparably bad. He played sporadically and was horrible on the Los Angeles Lakers. It's just the truth. I don't care if you like him or hate him. It's the truth, whatever way you feel about him. That season and seasons with the Lakers were utterly abysmal because he just did not fit. Can't say that about on the Clippers, thankfully so, but still, he played like a bum. We could point to that as one of the pinpoint reasons as to why they were bad. We can. We could point to injury in the past. We can't point to anything anymore except for your coach, Darvin Ham, is an absolute bum. Or as one of my friends would say, a schmuck. Shout out to one of my close confidants. Jalen, I done picked up some new lingo from you. He coaches like a schmuck, like a bum. Hands in his pockets because he doesn't know what he's doing. It's terrible. And it's frustrating to see. Unlike moving on to the next team, talking about the Los Angeles Clippers, who have been playing absolutely phenomenal, 8-2, as opposed to 2-8 from the Lakers, 8-2 for the Clippers in their past 10 games. Looking like a well-oiled machine. Looking like a team that is fit to say, okay, this is the Clippers that can reach expectations. A pleasant surprise, especially from everybody dogging and from me questioning whether or not James Harden would be able to fit on this Clippers squad. Now, he's making everybody eat their words, and I'm absolutely ecstatic for it. The top 10 offense in the league, top 12 defense, or 12th in defense, I believe 7th in offensive rating. Kawhi playing healthy has been phenomenal. Over the last 5 games, he's averaged about 30 points a game, not 29.6, but we'll round up. 30 points a game in his last 5 games. James Harden's been playing phenomenal. Absolutely a great floor general for this Clippers squad. Has made this team dynamic in how they can attack. Russell Westbrook buying in to being on the bench role where he said maybe he needs to be there to be better for this team to work, accepted the role and has been playing phenomenal in it. It's great. All around it's great. This team looks like the team that we have been waiting on for the Clippers to actually evolve into when it was just Kawhi and PG. When they initially were being seen as a team that should be in the finals, that should have been able to take on the Los Angeles Lakers, the biggest challenge to LeBron in the West. That's what they were. And then they just kept on faltering, kept on failing, kept on losing, kept on being a utter, not going to say disgrace, but an utter disappointment. That's the word. Disappointment. They were a disappointment. The Clippers were a disappointment because your expectations were so high, yet your production was so low. And injury always kept you up. Now, especially with the new mandate by the NBA about how long players need to actually be playing in order to be considered for certain awards and certain first team all pros or otherwise, which requisites to more or which equates to more revenue and bonuses for the players when they do win. Now Kawhi's right his rank, playing more consistently than I've ever, playing as consistently as I saw him on the Spurs, which is phenomenal to see. We love it. Now this team looks built to win. This team could be a sleeper. This team could really be a sleeper. This team right now is looking great. Now again, stuff can change in a heartbeat, but as of right now, we have to say the Clippers look like they have finally figured it out. They've gotten an identity. They've learned how to share the ball. When people said that there weren't enough, people, or rather, there wasn't enough ball to share around. Only one person had the ball in their hand at one point in time. With James Harden, Kawhi, and PG, somebody's not going to get touches. Somebody's going to get frustrated. That was one of the gripes. Now, hey, that's not a problem. Harden averaging 8 assists a game, 17 points a game, I believe. Good efficiency, getting everybody involved. Doesn't need to be the main scorer, yet we know he can score. As we saw him put up a couple phenomenal performances this year alone. Calling back to what he was in Houston as an MVP. Oh, this is great. This is phenomenal. This is what we wanted the Clippers to be. When this whole experiment began, when Kawhi and PG first got there. Now they're starting to live with the expectation, and we love it. And look for them to be a sleeper team in the West. Legitimately. Look for that team to be something. If they keep this run up, there could be a real problem for a lot of teams out in the West. And finally covering the NBA, talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. My pick to come out the East to win or to get to the finals. Maybe not win it, but to get to it. But potentially win it. There's some real concern I have with the Bucks right now. They're second in the East, only to Boston. I believe they got their record is tied with who was it? Was it off the top of my head? I can't remember who they are tied with. But I believe the record is tied with a couple teams. But they are second in the East. This team, third in offensive rating, 22nd in defensive rating. I knew when they lost Jrue Holiday, there was going to be some concern defensively. But I didn't think it was going to be this drastic. And it shouldn't be. Let's be honest. It shouldn't be this drastic in all respect. It shouldn't be. We're looking at a Milwaukee team that has year over year, ever since their win of a title against Phoenix, has kept relatively the same roster the entire time. And has been relatively healthy the entire time. Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis. They've kept just about everybody. And only upgraded when they got Damian Lillard. One of the biggest and best point guards in the NBA today. One of the best shooters in the NBA today. Only as opposed to Stephen Curry. And this generation of three-point shooters and just marksmen all around. You can argue Steph, Clay, Dame. Of this generation of the three best shooters. There's a real argument. Damian Lillard has been somebody who we clamored for to get out of Portland. Now he's in in Milwaukee. A team that is primed and ready and has already done the work of winning a championship. Looking better than ever on paper. Yet, it's just what the world. It's just this is insane. This doesn't look like nearly the Milwaukee Bucks team that we have seen in the past that have been sound on both fronts. That have been quality on both fronts. That have been legitimately dominant on both sides of the ball. And again, like I just said, Damian Lillard replacing Jrue Holiday, you were going to get a drop-off in defense because Jrue Holiday, now on Boston, is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Outright. One of the best defensive players in the league. Outright. Boston upgraded to a better quality version of Marcus Smart, thankfully, who can actually score and shoot the ball and can play just as good, if not better, defensively at this stage in his career. Yes, we know Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year. Yes, we understand that. But still, Jrue Holiday as a perimeter defender and just defender outright is a quality asset that has the offensive capabilities that Marcus Smart wishes he ever could in the NBA. So it was an upgrade. And while it was a downgrade defensively, it should have been an upgrade in every other aspect for the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, The upgrade is still, again, we see one of the best offenses in the league. Dame and Giannis are an unstoppable duo. But it's the fact that their defensive ability has floundered so much. What is the reasoning? And it could be coaching. Remember, the Bucks had fired Mike Budenholzer as their coach last year in May 4th, I believe, somewhere in May last year. They had fired him, hired Andy Griffin. Now, hey, respect to Andy Griffin. Again, he's not bad in terms of them being the, I believe, 24-10, second in the East. So we get he's not a bad coach, but there is something that he's doing that is lacking in the normal dedication that we saw the Bucks and knew the Bucks for on the defensive end. This isn't the same Bucks team, and normally we should be saying that for the better, but we're saying that for the worse. Because while they are succeeding, there is something that isn't right about this Bucks squad when I watch them. And it's not because of Damian Lillard's average to below average defensive abilities. He was not the greatest defender. We understand that. He was a star because of his game-changing offensive ability. We know this. We respect this. A dominant scorer in every facet of the work. But even him being a bad to average defender should not be this egregious to the point that it takes this team down so far into being closer to the worst team in the NBA defensively than the best team in the NBA defensively. It shouldn't be. 22nd in defensive rating, that's not something that only one player can affect in most situations. It's got to come down to coaching and mentality. What are you teaching and preaching inside practice, inside the locker room, inside your players' ear whenever you get them in a situation where, okay, it's time to learn and grow? Something isn't clicking, and this isn't good. It's not. We have to say, well, there is a big warning flag that I'm seeing that could potentially take place and bite them in the butt later on in the year. Once postseason comes around, once everything starts getting down and dirty, once competition really starts ramping up to where everything is like the in-season tournament, where the playoff atmosphere becomes fully in effect and the mentalities of every player switch, is going to be different. It's going to change. And since it's going to change, how are you going to respond? And right now, while you got one of the best offenses in the league that can respond to anybody, yes, that response may not be loud enough. Because while you can respond back, you can't defend back. You can't stop. All you can do is yell back at somebody talking, but you can't stop somebody from talking. That's what this is for Milwaukee. You can talk with the best of them, but you can't shut somebody down before they get started talking themselves. Again, third best offensive rating in the league, but the 22nd best defense in the league in terms of defensive rating. It's not adding up. And you didn't lose that many pieces. Still kept just about everybody. That this shouldn't be happening to where you're this lackadaisical, this easy to exploit on the defensive end. It shouldn't be happening. And the question has to come down to, is it a situation that coaching is the problem? Just like with the Lakers, but thankfully far better in terms of the situation than what the Lakers are right now with their coach. Their coach is inept in every front. Andy Griffin is not an inept coach. No. And with the product that he has in store for him, or rather with the platter that he has in front of him, and the legitimate talent that he has at his disposal, he is showing, okay, yeah, I can make this work. He is. Again, they're second in the East. But the issue is there is a major lack that he is missing, that if he does not clear up and does not get ingrained back into this team, back into the Bucks, it's going to bite him in the butt. It's going to bite him later on. It's going to affect them once crunch time really comes later on in the season and in the playoffs. It's going to. It's because you need both. If we just get this team to a top 15 defense, okay, yeah, we can talk about championships. Right now, I can't. Because I'm seeing too many situations where this Milwaukee Bucks team looks vulnerable, where they shouldn't be. Missing assignments, switching when they shouldn't be switching, consistently losing people at a rate that again, with Mike Budenholzer, I did not see. I just didn't. It should have been a situation where the heroics of Damian Lillard are no longer heroics, it's just building upon a lead. Now, again, maybe it's just me, but it feels like to some degree, in more games than I expected this season, we're seeing Damian Lillard have to come on and be alive for this team to win. Not to thrive, but to win. Again, it's not many situations, but it's more than I would like. They brought him in because he's a closer, absolutely. However, I shouldn't be feeling like the closer needs to close this many times when it comes to this Milwaukee Bucks team. Not because he can't do it, or not because he's not reliable. He definitely is reliable. One of the most clutch players that we have in the game today. That's irrefutable. It's the fact that I have to look, that I'm feeling like when I watch the Bucks play, I'm having to look to him more than I would like to. With the makeup of how this Bucks team is. It should be easier. And seemingly, while it is easier, it is for Damian Lillard, it still feels like it should be even more effortless for how this team is able to produce with the personnel and with Dame on that roster being added to it. So it has to be a question of whether Andy Griffin is accurately making defense a priority on this team. And if not, he needs to fix it as quickly as possible. Because if he doesn't, we're going to see major problems come down the line, potentially, for the aspirations of a championship for the Milwaukee Bucks as the season goes on, once the playoffs arrive. And I don't want that to be the case. I want to see this team at their best. If they lose, they lose. Okay, fine. No worries. But if they lose when they weren't even performing at the best that they could, I don't want to see that. I don't. I still got this team being able to come out the East to get to the finals. Yes, I do. But if I want to keep on being confident in that opinion, it's got to be that we see the Bucks tighten up. And Andy Griffin, behind closed doors, in practice, in team meetings, in film, fix that defensive gauge and get it back to what it used to be when Mike was here. And then you ride his reign. Because there is a disconnect. There truly is a disconnect with this Milwaukee Bucks team from their championship days and their days with Mike Budenholzer versus what we're seeing now. It's not a major drop-off, but it's significant enough that something needs to be said about this team. Something's got to be said about this team. Now moving on into the NFL. As we close out this show, the season's coming to an end. Playoffs are right around the corner. Week 18 of the football calendar is about to come to fruition. And we've had so many storylines. We've had so much going on in the NFL season. Eagles have been floundering at a incredibly hot start. Lions are looking like a great team, which is insane to say, nigh impossible to say at one point in time. And now they're looking like a legitimately good, dominant team, galvanized behind their coach, committing and performing on all fronts. We love it. Now it comes down to, okay, who's really got a shot at winning a title? In my estimation, my best teams to win the title are San Francisco, fully healthy, Baltimore, if they're fully healthy, which some people may not like. Actually, let me rephrase it. San Francisco, Cowboys, then Baltimore as my top three teams to win the championship. If I was somebody that had a gun to my head, then, hey, who you going to pick? Those would be my three. San Francisco Cowboys and Baltimore. San Francisco, even with Christian McCaffrey hurt right now in Week 18, which shouldn't translate too bad once the actual playoffs roll around. The best built team in football. I believe I've said this before. The best built team in the NFL right now. And I'm still holding out hope that this Cowboys team will be able to, again, I'm not a Cowboys fan, but this is their best opportunity to fully encapsulate and perform and produce like the team that they have been saying that they are for the past umpteen decades. Since 1994, 1992, whenever. This is one of the best shots. Have they floundered? Yes, but I still got belief they can rebound. And then Baltimore. And specifically, let's hold on Baltimore. Baltimore is one of my teams that can legitimately win a title. Because not only are they great, just great, because Lamar Jackson has been playing so well. He's been playing so well. He's been playing so well. Yet he is still seen as somebody that is not quarterbacking. Oh, we going there. Not quarterback enough. As some, I can't remember, white Hispanic woman on Fox was talking about how when talking about quarterbacks, she doesn't like, she loves Lamar Jackson, been playing phenomenal. He's been playing great. He's been, again, the driving force for that team. But he's not quarterbacking enough. Josh Allen loves him. Brock Purdy loves him. Those types of quarterbacks, phenomenal. But Lamar Jackson, not really. Now, she went on and defended it on Twitter, idiotically, talking about how, look at the numbers. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Tua Tagovailoa, all these other quarterbacks are putting up better passing numbers than what we see Lamar Jackson putting up. Which, if you're just going by that, it still didn't put up percentages, didn't put up touchdown to interception ratio. All of that. Context. Idiotically, this stupid woman didn't put context behind any of those numbers. Hit the racial biases there. I don't know. But beyond that, just strictly talking about this narrative with Lamar Jackson for a number of years has been this buddy doesn't throw like a quarterback. Has been this man is a wide receiver playing a quarterback role. A running back playing a quarterback role. It's stupid. Do you understand that we have seen Lamar Jackson evolve every single year he's came into the league? He's not even running nearly as much this season as he's ran in the past. And still is being as effective as ever. Has been putting up, again, over 3,500 yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions on the year. In his last game, the brother put up, 321? 321 yards, 5 TDs. I believe no interceptions, a perfect QBR rating, 85% passing completion rate. Has been his best year to date passing completion-wise at 65%, improving from 60% last season. This brother is playing great. He is the driving force and should be an MVP candidate. Who should win it? Tyreek Hill or Christian McCaffrey. Because of Tyreek Hill's phenomenal season receiving-wise. And Christian McCaffrey's just outright dominance in all facets of the game. Passing and receiving. The brother's been unstoppable. Yeah, he's been force-fed yards because they were trying to, some people may say because they were trying to chase the record for touchdown in every game, which I believe he tied. But we've seen people force-fed touches before, and it still doesn't pan out. And they still don't produce and perform. Christian McCaffrey is putting up record numbers in every facet of the game. Has been so complete in all aspects. As even, again, we were saying before Christian McCaffrey got to San Francisco, Deebo Samuel was the most valuable player on that team and was seen as the best player on the team, him or Nick Bosa. And he, again, was phenomenal and still is phenomenal. a Swiss Army knife in every sense of the word. Can play running back, can play wide receiver, can play slot. Doesn't matter. Christian McCaffrey comes in and outshines him. Brother, that's something incredible. It's something incredible. Either him, Christian McCaffrey, or Tyreek Hill should be seen as the MVP of the league. I don't care if it's a quarterback award. Normally, it doesn't matter. Those two have outshined everybody, in my estimation. Outshined everybody. But even with that being said, digressing and going back to the topic at hand, Lamar Jackson still should be in contention for an MVP with how he's been playing, putting up one of his best years. This is a man who has fought and overcome a stigma that has been idiotically put on him, spurred on by, to a degree, racial stereotypes, but also just because people didn't think the brother could throw. Now, he's proving everybody wrong. Been proving it for a long time. When are we going to get out of this mindset as fans? Not all fans, but there's still a big sect that don't see somebody who is a pocket passer as a legitimate QB. Because if that's the case, we can go at not Lamar Jackson, we can go at Josh Allen this season, for the past couple seasons. For as eccentric and exciting as he is to play, and as much of an important force as he is for that Bills offense, mind you, the brother is putting up legitimately the same yards as Lamar Jackson, yet still is putting up numbers that are worse than Lamar Jackson. Again, you don't believe me? Let's go down the list. Lamar Jackson, 3,678 yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. QBR this year of 65%. Josh Allen, 3,947 yards, 27 TDs, 16 interceptions, and a QBR of 68.2. Numbers are eerily similar, yet there is an egregious, tumultuous gap between the two in terms of decision making, interception to TD ratio. It's insane. Lamar's put up three less touchdowns, but over half less interceptions he's thrown in this season, while putting up maybe 300 yards less than Josh Allen. But we hold Josh Allen as a physical specimen, a dual threat quarterback who is just so incredible. Lamar Jackson's been playing better than him. Yes, this year he's been playing better than him. This is an MVP caliber player who's won MVP before, yet is still talked down, dogged down for no good reason. He is one of the main reasons in Lamar Jackson as to why this Baltimore squad is seen as such a legitimate threat to a title. Of any team, this team can legitimately get there. This team really has a shot at winning a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson, especially with the way that we see the Chiefs being as vulnerable as they are. Not looking nearly like the Chiefs of old. Not looking nearly like the Chiefs that were just a highlight waiting to happen. The five slammer jammer of the NFL at one point in time. The modern day greatest show on turf. We can call it that. When it was Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And Watkins at one point in time, although he wasn't playing as great. But you get what I'm saying? When it was everybody, the whole gang together, oh brother, it was phenomenal. And even when it wasn't, they still, with Mahomes and Kelce, they were still playing phenomenal. Creativity to no end, Andy Reid playing and coaching in such an eccentric and unique fashion, further solidifying him as one of the greatest offensive coaches that we've seen in NFL history, and one of the greatest period of all time. This is a team that is far beyond what they were. That's what they used to be. This is what they are now. Right now, they're vulnerable. Patrick Mahomes is livid at the way this team is consistently messing up. Can't get on the line, consistently making dumb decisions. Routes can't get no separation nearly like they used to be able to. The offense is nowhere close to being able to click like it normally is. There is some real dire straits in Kansas City right now. Primed opportunity for Baltimore to be able to take the reins and take the opportunity and win to get to the Super Bowl. Prime opportunity to get there. And it's all led by Lamar Jackson. This team is not 13-3 for nothing. This team is not seen as the biggest threat for nothing. It's because they are clicking on offense and led by a leader in Lamar Jackson, who is continually showing that he is a dominant, game-changing force with either his hands, arms, or his feet. It doesn't matter. He's become a smarter runner. He's become a more efficient runner. He's staying healthy. And his game presence and effect is being felt every time he steps out on the floor. This is a team in their own, what was it? Was it AFC South? AFC North, excuse me. In the AFC North division, their biggest threat right now is Cleveland. They can beat the Steelers, absolutely. Biggest threat right now in the playoffs in that specific division is Cleveland. And with much respect to Cleveland, they can beat Cleveland. Yes, they can. They can beat Cleveland. They can beat the Bills if it goes to they face them. They could beat Miami if it goes to they have to face them. They could beat any team right now. They could beat any team legitimately in the AFC, including the Chiefs, who are incredibly in dire straits, including Miami, who have tailed off a little bit from their incredibly hot start, including Buffalo, led by Josh Allen. If he's throwing interceptions like he's been throwing all year long, yes, including Josh Allen. This man has, what else does he have to do to prove that he is a bona fide quarterback? Because he doesn't stand in the pocket, don't mean that the brother don't know what he's doing. This man is an escape artist and a savant at creating outside and with pressure. But he can do it from any facet, any way you want it, any form you want. We just saw this man against Miami drop back with his left hand, turn around and throw with his right hand. I've never seen that before. I'm talking about willingly, not because you were forced to, pinned down, trying to evade a tackle, and you just had to get the ball out, and you made some incredible throw. No, I'm talking about this man dropped back with his left, looking at the other end of the field entirely. Got the defense all to pull. Switched back like a boxer, like Terrence Crawford switching stance, and threw a dot on the sideline. Fooled everybody. He's that special. He's that talented. He's that great. He is a central figure to what makes this Baltimore team work. And he is a central force as to why the entire league should be on notice, not just of Baltimore, but of this man being one of the best players in football. And him being an MVP caliber candidate. And him potentially being an NFL Super Bowl champion after all is said and done with how he's been playing this season and of the past seasons. He is a quarterback through and through. Anybody who says otherwise is utterly stupid. And word of the day, thinking like a bum. Idiotic in every metric of the word. The fact that you question him being a legitimate quarterback consistently after he keeps on performing and producing is idiotic to me. Putting up phenomenal, efficient numbers. Rushing, I believe. In fact, let me make sure, because I believe this man is also rushing by himself for nearly 1,000 yards. So he's had one of his best throwing years this season while still being one of the most effective. Yeah, he is leading this team running. He is leading this team running with 821 yards, nearly 1,000 yards on the year, and nearly 4,000 yards passing, while passing 65%. while earning a perfect QBR in his last game, while throwing for 321 yards, while throwing for 5 touchdowns. Or maybe it was 1 rushing, 4 scoring. Either way, I don't know what else you need to say. I don't know what else you need to say about this man. He has been absolutely performing at an elite rate for so long. This being one of his best complete years. There's no reason why anybody should be questioning what this man is as a football player, as a quarterback. Specifically, as a quarterback. He is a quarterback. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the world. He should be an MVP candidate this year and a threat for anybody to win, for a threat to anybody on their road to winning a title. Because he's been putting up numbers that are deemed of a leader, that are deemed of a star, that are deemed of a superstar, that are deemed as one of the best quarterbacks in the world today. All that ignorant mess about him being not quarterbacky enough. Only reason why you would say that. It's because he's black. We don't play the race card on this show, but we bring it up when it's appropriate. It's appropriate right now. Because the brother's black, dark-skinned black, mind you. He ain't seen as what it is. He is not seen as a definitive, just straight up quarterback. Because he doesn't sit in the pocket. He doesn't play like the other white stereotypes that we normally know. We're not discrediting anybody. We're saying that stigma is in and of itself discrediting both those that played in that style, whether they were white or otherwise, and anybody else who doesn't. Mobile quarterbacks are only seen as what? Black. And what? And creative. Eccentric. Oh, they make magic, don't they? All these words, while they are praised, many times are used because if the brother ain't black or the brother is black and ain't sitting in the pocket like we saw the great Dan Marino, the great Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Joe Montana. Steve Young was a mobile quarterback for his time. What did it say? What did they say about him when he was running around like that? Like we saw people like Randall Cunningham do, like we saw Michael Vick do later on in the years, like we saw Cam Newton do, like we're now seeing Lamar Jackson do. What's called one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. No other need for any other word. Then they didn't say he wasn't sitting in the pocket long enough. They didn't say he wasn't quarterbacking. They just said this man is a savant. We haven't seen this before. My goodness, Joe Montana, incredible. He throws the ball so pretty, and he can do it on the run. And he can make his own way. He can be a creative presence in or outside the pocket. He's just great on all facets, wasn't he? That's what people were saying about him. Yet when Lamar Jackson does the exact same thing, all of a sudden he ain't just this. He isn't a quarterback enough. All of a sudden he's a running back playing disguised as a quarterback. It's idiotic and stupid. Stop it. Be better. Come on. You know what it is. Appreciate what this greatness is right now. We are seeing Lamar Jackson evolve into one of the best version of himself. A smarter runner who can throw inside the pocket with elite level and create outside the pocket, not getting injured nearly as much as he put himself at risk for in his last couple seasons, and has turned this team again into one of the best teams in football with one of the best records, again 13-3. And it's still being the greatest dual threat that this team has to offer. The best running attack and passing attack, all wrapped in one, is Lamar Jackson. We're seeing something special from this brother. Don't let it go by the wayside with your idiotic takes, like that white woman or that Hispanic woman, whatever race that woman was on Fox. Don't be like her. Don't be stupid. Don't be ignorant. Don't be dumb. Don't think like a bum like she thought like a bum. Stupid take like that. I don't care if it was to get views or not. It's an idiotic take that makes you look stupid. You're not gonna live it down. Call stuff like it needs to be called. Lamar Jackson is one of the best quarterbacks in the world today. Should be an MVP candidate and has primed his team with his legitimate accuracy, arm talent, and feet to be able to be a legitimate threat at winning a Super Bowl this year and solidifying his name as one of the greatest quarterbacks that we've seen. Period. There's nothing else to say. And with that being said, this has been another episode of the Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. We had a phenomenal first episode of the year. That's right. We got so much more to come. We're going to be covering everything that comes our way in the sports world. Please leave a like on the video. Comment your thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to the channel. Share the show with everybody that you know. Build this community up. Get people involved with this. Comment. I love to talk to y'all about what you all think. And without further ado, I've been Jean-Luc Welch. Y'all have been wonderful. Peace and love. We are out of here.